being there, standing across from Jeremy Renner and Michael Beach in one scene was surreal, but also affirmative
Uh,
of my work
mm,
and my dedication and perseverance.
mm.
And it felt like I was home. I was finally home. I was where it's at.
This is Sanya On-Air.
Doesn't he have any Rick James? Open like a window, no window. Look at the video, say yourself that could have been you.
Because they're like,
This is
Dawn,
Sanya On-Air.
Dawn. And everybody on the East Coast calls me Don. I'm like, what is Don?
My mom thought I was on Long Island, but I was at Howard Homecoming.
Ready?
Turn it up.
Let's go. Welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On Air. I'm your host, Sanya Hudson-Paye. And how do I start off each and every single show? You guessed it. I have another great show for you. Coming up in just a few short moments, I have actor Marcus Brandon. Now, let me tell you something. I got to be honest. I haven't even watched the show that he's on. It's streaming on Paramount Plus, and it's called Mayor of Kingstown. Now, I've heard great things about this show, but there's so much to watch on television. So I purposely didn't watch this series, which is in its second season, because convince me. Every day, every weekend, I'm looking for something new to watch. So tell me why we should all be watching Mayor of Kingstown. And plus, he lives in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. We got something in common. So I'm excited to bring Marcus into the studio in just a few short moments. But before we do all of that, of course, what do I need you to do? Subscribe. You can subscribe to Sanya On-Air, which streams across every major streaming platform. Okay? Tell a friend to tell a friend, to tell their auntie, to tell their cousin, even tell their cousins that's incarcerated. Because the Mayor of Kingstown, this series talks about a family who owns this business, and it's about incarceration and gang members. So, I'm a Brooklyn girl, New York City. So that's just right out my front door. So I'm just curious to see how it goes down in the other cities and states. So if you're watching this on YouTube, not only subscribe, but make sure that you hit the notification button. The notification button every time I upload an all new Sanya On-Air celebrity interview where I unpack their pivotal moments and their milestones. You'll be the first one to know. So why don't we do this? Let's take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back with Marcus Brandon. Stay tuned to Sanya On-Air Celebrity Interviews. Do you work out on the regular? Fuel your cart goals with Instacart, the go-to service for quick delivery straight to your home. Use the special Sanya On-Air link below. This is Sanya On-Air. This is Sanya On-Air. Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Sanya. How's it going?
It's going great. It's early in the morning, but
we here.
We are here. Let me tell you something. The first reason why I am so enamored to have this conversation with you, because you live in Brooklyn.
I do live in Brooklyn. Don't tell me you live in Brooklyn. Oh, nah, come on. Yeah, represent.
Represent. So the Brooklyn vibes are just coming across the screen. I'm here for it.
Yes.
How long have you been living in Brooklyn?
I've been in Brooklyn for like 6-7 years now.
Oh, so any type of, Brooklyn lingo that you picked up on?
Nah. I try to pick up on New York lingo in general so I could fake it till I make it when I'm out of town, because I'm not a real New Yorker, but
I know. I've been born and raised in New York City, Brooklyn girl, and even people get on me because there's something famous that New Yorkers always go to get from the bodega, chopped cheese.
Yeah, the chopped cheese.
Have you eaten chopped cheese yet?
I have had a chopped cheese.
You like it?
It's not my thing. It's not my thing. But don't maybe we shouldn't record this part. I don't want nobody to come after me. Like,
No,
you're
it
not
will
real
come
person.
after me too because I
Yeah.
don't eat meat. So I'm a pescatarian. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if I get tuna, is that a chopped cheese? And they're like, no.
That's a fish with cheese on some bread. That's what that is.
It is, but I hear that you're a military kid. How was
I
that?
am. Oh, growing up in the military was a wild ride. There was so much confusion as a kid. As a kid, you just kind of go along with what your parents say because you know
Yeah.
that you have no control. So if they're like, "We're leaving tomorrow," you're like, "Oh, okay." And that's kind of what my life was. I was there for like 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we're leaving again."
Oh,
But
wow.
well, kids are also resilient, so I was
Yeah.
resilient, and you got to get into flow. It's my norm, after a while.
True.
But I am so grateful for that experience because I got to see the world at an early age, and that was priceless because I think it made me not only a better person, but more open-minded, more capable of being open to receive other people's cultures and differences, and a lot of attributes that I appreciate today because I could fit in a lot of different situations. You could throw me. Let me tell you, I done lived in trailer parks. I lived in projects. I lived in suburbs, inner cities, foreign countries. So there's rarely ever a situation where you cannot throw me in, and rarely ever a person that I can't relate to on some level.
I like that. I like the resiliency. I love it when individuals can go into any room and show up and survive. So, what's
Mhm.
the biggest lesson besides resiliency has that taught you? Because you spent some time in Europe as a
Yeah,
Black boy with a Black family.
yeah,
How
yeah.
was that experience navigating through Europe?
Yeah, as a kid, I wasn't always aware. I can't imagine what my parents dealt with, because sometimes you live on a military base, and then when you're on the military base, it's like this TV show, perfect. Streets are clean, everything looks the same. It's like a bubble, so you're a little protected. But when you're off the bases and you live in off base and you're immersed in other cultures, then depends on where you live. But if you're in some countries, there's racism everywhere.
Yes.
A lot of countries, especially European countries, have a long history of it, and it's still there, just like in America. I think the biggest things, as I started to grow up, I realized a lot of differences, and I
Mhm.
realized when we go to like the pharmacy, there was not a lot of products for like our hair or our skin, and those things. And then you see the ignorance or the tolerance level of what these countries have for racism and inclusivity, and even to this day, they still struggle with that.
Yeah.
And they, cater to the masses, but you have to realize that there's diversity here. There's people that need certain products depending on their culture. So
Mhm.
those things are there. There's still obstacles, but we come a long way, but still a long way to go.
Yes, we've come a long way, but still a long way to go. And the lessons that you learned, I'm sure that you are imparting upon your children. So, how are you teaching them to navigate in this world that doesn't really appreciate our melanin?
Yeah. We're in is my kids are young, and they're in a situation like my son who is 6. He's learning about racism in school, and Martin Luther King Day just passed by, so they teach about Martin Luther King and what happened to him and why. And the kids can be black or white in their thinking at times, so they're just like, well, he got shot, and white people hate black people, and
Right. That's it.
yeah, that's it. But I gotta be like, hold on, slow down, slow down, slow down. You can't not, everyone's not the same,
Mhm.
and you have to understand you can't just like people often stereotype black people, put black people in one block or one box, and they forget that we're a multifaceted species, just like everyone else. And there's so many different kinds of black human beings. The black diaspora is vast. Even I didn't know growing up how vast the black diaspora was.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was like a proper age that I knew of Dominicans and Ethiopians and South Asians that were black, and
Mhm.
all over the world, the Aboriginals from Australia. And I started to
Yes.
really understand that, wow, there's so many different type of black people in this world. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach that to my kids, that and I want them, I want to work on their hearts. first.
Mm.
The mental stuff will come later, but I really want to instill and the kindness and the goodness in their hearts and nurture that. I don't. They're already sweet kids, and I don't have to do anything more to instill it. But I want to nurture it and continue to raise them that way. The mental stuff will come, and I will prepare them along the way. I talk to them now, like people are not. They're going to treat you some type of way because of the color of your skin. Sometimes there's times when I've been to the playground and my kids get ignored, or my kids get treated a certain way by other kids of a different color, where they get excluded, and I have to tell them, sometimes these kids, they learn from their parents, and
Right.
they don't like, they don't want to be around you because of the color of your skin, but it's okay. This is how you deal with it. But yeah, it's an ongoing journey.
Very much ongoing, just like Brooklyn. The borough of Brooklyn is very much ongoing.
Yeah.
You got the good Brooklyn now.
Yeah.
I've been in Brooklyn for 50 years, so you got the good
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
I hear.
So
I hear.
much
It's getting a long
diversity
way.
going on in Brooklyn. I love my borough. I represent for it as much as I can. But let me just transition into why I'm excited about this conversation. I am a television fanatic.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is what I do on my downtime. I work
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm always watching new things. I'm asking people, listen, what do I watch? Even last night, I was
Yeah.
going to watch Mayor of Kingstown because, to be
Yeah.
honest, I haven't watched it, but I said, nope.
Oh, you behind.
I'm not going to watch it because I want to have this conversation because I want you to convince me.
Yeah.
Convince me I myself and
Yeah.
everyone should be watching Mayor of Kingstown. And what kind of drew me in, because like I said, I'm a Brooklyn girl. It talks about incarceration and gangs. I said, that's out right out my front door. So,
Yeah.
tell us, what is the Mayor of Kingstown about?
Oh, Mayor of Kingstown is about a guy or a family, the McCluskeys, who are peace brokers, is what they call themselves, and they broker these peace deals between law and the gangs and the criminals inside the prisons. And as you imagine, when one thinks they have the power to broker deals and keep a peace, amongst these organizations, things can go left real quick, and that tends to happen in the show. It's based in the area of Michigan, where there was like a mile of like 7 prisons, all close together. This is like a real thing. It's based on an area where Hugh Dillon, one of the writers and stars in the show, is based. And as in this locked in intricate system of prisons within that area, there are a lot of interactions and deals between them going on. So this is what the show is kind of based on. And then what I really love about it is when they talk on the incarceration, it's just not like, look at these thugs over here, these bad people, and they're just bad and they're doing bad things. It's not just about that, because as you know, when you're incarcerated, not everybody's bad.
Right.
Some people are even innocent,
Yeah.
and some people just made mistakes. But there's so many different people in the prison, so many different cultures, and again, diversity within prison. And they talk in this show, they really touch on the inequality and the racism within prison, the mistreatment of how they treat prisoners and prisoners of different races. And I love that that's a big part of the show, because it really is not really talked about a lot, in other shows, in past prison shows, shows that are based on incarceration. So I love that part. So if you want to see it from that perspective, see it. But most of all, you got to see this cast, this star-studded cast. Not only Jeremy Renner and Diane Rice and my boy Michael Beach.
Yes.
I grew up watching Michael Beach. Soul Food. Come on.
Yeah. Yes.
Come on.
That's another reason. Okay, I said, okay, let me see who's in Mayor of Kingstown. I said, oh my gosh, legends, icons. I was like, okay, I'm kind of in, so the conversation, he just has to bring it home. But how was it acting alongside such influential actors, and what did you have to do in order to show up and show out?
Yeah, I mean, it was surreal, because my very first scene, which my character Diedrich gets introduced on the second episode of the season, which was last Sunday, and the scene is I couldn't ask for a better intro. They made me look so cool on the screen. So I was like, yeah, I was hyped. But in this scene is me along with I'm the leader of the Bloods and other gang leaders. Toby, who is also a lead on the show, who I'm the rival of, who's the leader of the Crips, and then Dylan, who's the leader of the Aryan Nation, and my boy Ray, who's the leader of the Latin gang, who they refer to as Mexicans in the show. So that Jeremy Renner's character and Michael Beach and Hamish they're all meeting up with us to broker this deal again to kind of help take a reign and control of things. And we're in this remote area, and it just, again, it gets crazy. But being there, standing across from Jeremy Renner and Michael Beach in one scene was surreal, but also affirmative of my work and my dedication and perseverance. And it felt like I was home. I was finally home. I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and it's like the world was like, here you go. We have Michael Beach, we have Jeremy Renner, but guess who else we have here? Marcus Brandon. He's here.
Okay.
He arrived.
You better talk about it.
Yeah.
I love when you said that, because I always say that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You do the work, patient, it's inevitable, and also have faith. That's also important.
Yes.
So let's just give a little backstory, because this just didn't happen or show up out of nowhere.
No.
At what age did you realize that you wanted to be an actor?
Oh, I mean, that goes way back. I wanted to be an actor when my parents used to use the TV as a nanny, because when you have a nanny, they'd be like, yeah, go watch TV, I gotta do something. So whenever we was, staring in front of the TV for hours, and I realized how much watching someone on screen affected me. Like, I watch a kung fu movie, as soon as I get done, I think I'm a ninja or something. Going at it, yeah. Think I got all the moves. Go outside and get my butt whooped. But so I just realized, or watching a detective show, and I'm thinking of a detective, and I saw the influence that these characters were having on me, and I was like, I want to grow up to be a ninja. I want to grow up to be a detective. But then I was like, no, I want to grow up to be this person.
Wow.
Who's influencing me. I want to grow up to be this person that's creating this magic.
Yeah.
And I just saw this world, and I was like, something about it was just calling me. And throughout the years of my adolescence, I wasn't like focused on it. I didn't get pinned no acting classes or anything like that. But whenever there was a local play, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be in that. So every few years I would hop in one, whether it was middle school, high school, or college. And then I pursued it. I was pursuing football for a while professionally. And when that didn't work out, I chose to walk away. And I was in DC, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it sticks.
It sticks, right.
It was sticking. It was sliding down, hopping in play to play, local plays, sometimes bootleg plays. And I'm just like, yo, I'm trapped in this circle. If I want to do this, the universe was telling me, you got to go to the Mecca. You got to go to LA or New York. If you want to do this, get in the mix of where the energy is. And at that time, there wasn't, we didn't have all these podcasts and YouTube channels. There wasn't, you can hop on the social media and become a star. You have to be there. So I was like, I gotta go to New York. And that was the rest. And I went there. I was like, I'm going all in on this craft. And
Got it. But I just want to capture a few of your talking points, because I want to make sure that my audience, it lands on them too. Persistence. Go to where the action is. You move to, you said either LA or New York City. You participated in a number of plays and productions. And even though sometimes they told you no, and the spaghetti didn't stick on the wall, still persisted through it, because now you're exactly where that you should be. And that is playing, what's the name of your character? Diedrich. On the mayor of Kingstown. But also, what I also want to mention is, you said that your parents placed you in front of the television, and it just opened up a world of, who are these people? Who are these actors? And maybe I can do the same thing. And this is why I feel that television and media in general really has to have a big responsibility in the content that you put out. What do you think about this era of television? Because you have young children. Do you think that you can now place your children in front of the television and they now see responsible content?
Yeah. That's a loaded question. I think in this current times, we're so oversaturated with content, and there's a thin line because there's so much offered and good content. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good content, but it's hard to keep up with them. And then you got technology everywhere. You can watch on so many different devices now. My kids will sneak and get their iPad without me knowing. So, parent lock controls are real. And 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 there are definitely shows that do provide a lot of responsible content. But I think there's always going to be that balance in the world. So there's always going to be shows that I may not agree to as seen as responsible content, and my kids can get exposed to that. And I think there's a responsibility not only on the parents, but there's a responsibility on these networks to understand the message that's coming across. You can't put out shows that may have influenced someone to build their hatred towards another group, or as we all know, growing up, people outside in America and outside America, they all saw African Americans as just thugs.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they knew us or they seen us in person. That's all they saw on TV. And that is, I think, is an example of how irresponsible these networks can be. Our producers, our content, the gatekeepers can be, because if they're only allowing content that shows a group in one way, then of course the world's going to be influenced, just like I was as a kid, to think, oh, these people are no good.
Right.
And I'm glad now that we have more diverse content especially for depicting Black characters. And don't get me wrong, I love a good gangster film. I love playing Diedrich, but I also love that we're coming out with the Krentas and the Issa Rays, and their development, these other content. And I'm so inspired by all of them. And then you have all these up and coming Black artists, melanated artists that are in Hollywood that are just taking the world by storm, and they're showing the world that we're more than just what they've been depicting us as for the last half century. So we're here. But with my kids, ultimately it comes down to me to say, hey, this is how I got to put boundaries around. This is what you guys are able to watch. And please, let's have a conversation. You want to watch something else? Talk to me first,
Yes.
Let's figure this out.
And that's how I raised my daughter. She's now 27, but I know that there was content that
Well, you got 27-year-old? Get out of here.
I do. I got the good Black.
Get out of there. You got be grateful. You got it.
Yes, I'm so blessed. But she's 27, and when she was younger, she watched things that she should not have watched. And I was aware of it, but we sat down and we had the conversation because I knew that she couldn't avoid it. It would come in her radar anyway. So I had to be a responsible parent and say, okay, I know you're watching this. Let's have a conversation. And we still do that to this very day. Yeah. Anything that is maybe elaborate to unpack, we have a conversation. For example, I took her to a Broadway play last week. We saw the collaboration, the collaboration between Andy Warhol and John Basquiat. And okay, I said, well, after this, I know you're 27, but you're still learning. You ain't grown yet, child. Let's talk about this. What did it mean for you? And how will you convey this message to your friends?
Yeah.
Have to share the knowledge and information. So as participants watching on screen, but you are an active participant going to audition for roles, have you ever faced any type of racism or colorism?
Oh, I think there's always colorism present, and I have to acknowledge my own privilege, being more fair skinned and understanding that there's opportunities I get just because on TV I can be depicted as the safe Black guy,
right?
And there's going to be there are opportunities provided to me because I fit into that category of Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan and stuff. That we could show him this guy, and it's not fair, and it's a crazy world to navigate, because I also do want my opportunities. You know, I want a career that I can get to, and I hope to have influence over the opportunities presented. You know, when I get more power in Hollywood, I don't want to just be an actor. I want to also influence the industry. And so colorism is present, not necessarily where there was a negative experience for me, but I did realize my privilege in some situations.
Mhm.
Uh, Racism is definitely there. I do experience that with roles. That is there. Like when you, there's sometimes just like, you know, you're meeting our quota. We got you here because we need a black person in this role or in
Right.
this performance, or you get on set thinking you're going to be one character, and then all of a sudden you're just a last thought, you know, and you start getting removed or you're not spoken to a certain way. But uh, the world, there's so many different people on set as well,
Mhm.
and sometimes you might experience this from somebody in production that's just a one bad apple in the batch, you know. But you can't you can't be afraid to speak up for yourself. You know, if you're too timid, they will see that. If you know that fear is there, they will see that, and they will continue to not only treat you that way, they're going to treat the rest that come after you that way. So you definitely always, at the end of the day, stick up for yourself. You
Yeah.
know, and your career success is not worth you sacrificing your own
Mhm.
morality or um your own pride. You know, you don't want someone to say, "Oh, I could stomp all over them," you
Mm.
know, and give my way. They do what I want to do. You have to stick up and take charge for yourself. You'll
Yeah.
be happier in the end.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that too, because it isn't easy for people to advocate and stand in their truth and to tell someone no. With that will come some consequences and some repercussions, but you framed it in such a way to say, if you don't allow yourself to speak up, you will be dishonoring yourself. You'll
Mm-hmm.
be diminishing yourself. Just true story. I have another, interview after this. And after that, I'm going to the police station because they hung up on me yesterday. No, you will not.
Yeah, yeah.
No, you will not. Like I'm that one.
Yeah. Okay, we got something to talk about.
I am that one, most definitely. Just been living in my community for 50 something years. I've seen the changes, I've seen the growth. If you're supposed to come into my community and support the community, how dare you act like I'm not an active member of my community? So I need my statement to be on record and documented because I want to see change in my community. So, although it's uncomfortable, I owe it to myself.
Yes.
Do that. So, in the genre of acting, you have to have a healthy dose of self-esteem. I
Yeah.
know that you've been told no a million
Oh
times.
man.
What is the self-conversations that you have with yourself to pick yourself back up and say, I'm going to try again tomorrow?
Yeah. I think I was instilled as a kid from my parents that I could do whatever I wanted to do. I could be whatever I wanted to be, and I was a gullible kid, so I believed them 100%. I was like, oh, if you say it, you my parents, it must be true. So I grew up always having that confidence in myself. I grew up an athlete, which being in sports and having that discipline, dedication instilled in you goes a long way. Um, and then now I'm all a big part because I've talked to actors who were successful, and the one thing they all said is what we touched on earlier was the key to success for a lot of people is just perseverance.
Mm.
Talent is one thing, planning is one thing, but most of the people that succeed are the ones who stuck around. And again, I'm a gullible person. I said, you ain't got to tell me twice. I'm a dedicated person, so I stuck around. So I just have that faith, as we spoke to about earlier as well, that faith and that belief that it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time,
Just a matter of time.
and I'm here now, but it's also just a matter of time
Yes.
until I'm that blockbuster Hollywood actor that you're going to see in the movies on Christmas Day or July 4th.
Yes.
Have you seen that latest Marcus Brandon movie? You guys gonna be talking about
Speak it into existence. That's so important. I subscribe to that too, where just a high dose of faith. But there is just certain objects. Well, there's one particular object that whenever I'm embarking upon something that may be uncomfortable or may be a reach, I wear this cross that I've had. I bought it about maybe about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That's just gives me so much courage.
Yeah.
I learned somewhere that that's what your beard does for you. You refuse to
Uh,
cut it off. Talk about that. Why is there so much power in your beard? Because as women, don't touch our hair.
Man.
Talk about your beard and why that holds so much power.
I don't know. I love having my beard. It's been cut way too many times for roles. I try not to sacrifice the beard, but again, sometimes people, they find it safer if you don't have a beard. But for me, there's power in the energy of hair. A lot of the great pharaohs and kings all had beards, and I feel like I'm in again that confidence along that way. There's power in my beard, and having my beard gives me a certain stature, and it has its own personality, I guess you could say. It's definitely not the same mark as when I don't have the full beard. And I've had it bigger than this, but I also know sometimes there's a limit. The beard can't be taking up the whole screen. But,
so true. So true. So your beard has another personality. It's like deemed another person. What is your dream role?
My dream role? There's an old African general named Hannibal who went to war with Rome, and he rode in on elephants, these big elephants and stuff. And I would love to portray him. There was a limited series, I think, on History Channel once, but it didn't get the notice that it should have. I want to do a limited series of it on like a platform like HBO or somewhere, or a movie would be great. But playing something like that in like a Spartan era would be ideal for me. I would also love to have a good detective show, come like Idris Elba's Luther, something like that would be definitely right up my alley. But I'm open to everything. I want to be so many things. I want to have a movie or a show where I'm in space. I want to experience it all. But definitely keep on faith.
But sometimes, when we don't see it, we have to be it by creating it. Have you thought about writing?
Yeah, I'm currently writing and creating stuff that I hope to produce myself, or will produce myself, and the world will see it in the years to come for sure. It's gonna be great. I got some good sci-fi comedy stuff in my pocket that I can't wait to show. And it's definitely another passion myself. Writing, directing is another passion for me, because I think the more you can spread yourself out, the better. And the more you can control in your career, the better. I'm not saying you don't have to do it by yourself. A lot of things are best to include people. But in this Hollywood, in these days, if you can create your own show and put your own team together and have more control over your own path, create your own seat at the table, then go for it.
Yes. I love it. And that's just something that I found a lot of, celebrities and influencers that I have conversations with on my platform.
Yeah.
They start off acting, but then they have their hands in different, experiences. Yeah. Writing, directing, producing, acting is just not one thing. And I always tell people the best way to stay broke is to do one thing.
Yeah.
Impact, put your hand in different spaces, be a creator, control your own narrative. That's what great leaders do. And what I also learned about you, and this is something that I don't watch, but my daughter watches, you're also on Gossip Girl.
I am on the reboot of Gossip Girl.
She told me it's different. She said it's not like the original Girl. This one kind of takes a spin. What's so different about this Gossip Girl than the original?
I think I don't want to speak wrong on the original. I don't want the fans coming for me. But I would say this second one is probably a bit darker, a bit more edgier, a bit more diverse on the palette of characters in color, melanin, and it would be like I would compare it to Brooklyn versus Manhattan.
Oh, okay. That's understandable. Yeah. What's your character on Gossip Girl?
I was brought in as this new security official on there. Unfortunately, they canceled the show. This is the last season, so he won't be coming back. But it was still a great time while I was there. It was a great show to be on. It was cool to be around the cast. I learned so much. It was very fun. That there was a director, Erica Watson, who directed my episode, and a young Black woman, super cool, super talented. And I was one of the few melanated characters on set that day. And not saying the show's not diverse, the show's very diverse, but that day
it ain't that diverse. Let's keep it 100. We sprinkle here and there, but okay.
Yeah, I'm saying they got melanin on the show.
Okay,
but that day it wasn't a lot. But when she came through, she was giving the greetings, and she was like, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everybody?" And she walked by me. She's like, "Hey," she took a second look, and she saw I was a melanated person. She said, "Oh, what's up, brother?"
Told you.
So we had our little moment, but having her welcome me like that was a great feeling.
Yeah,
when we have our tribe.
Yes.
A place that's often not accepting of us makes all the difference. And she made me feel so comfortable and so welcome and so loved. And I am grateful for her being there.
I love it. So why was the show canceled?
Honestly, that's above my pay grade. I don't know.
I always want to know those things because I know, like on last week's episode of Sanya On-Air, I was talking to an actress whose show was canceled. And I just wanted her to communicate to my audience, like, what do we as fans, as viewers need to do to make sure that great shows, get renewed season after season after season? We definitely have to watch. But what I want to ask you is, like, is there a certain time that we need to watch? Let's say if a show premiere, let's go to Mayor of Kingstown. That streams on Paramount Plus on what day, what time?
Sundays. It's released I guess the morning of Sundays, 3 a.m. Eastern. It's released midnight Saturday at midnight on the Pacific Coast, but 3 a.m. Eastern. But so anytime Sunday you can watch it. But of course, watching it as soon as possible gives more ratings, and the more ratings there, and then also just a conversation online. Just spreading the awareness and making sure that Mayor of Kingstown staying in the news. But there's also times where I see a show that I like, and it gets good reviews and great ratings, and then a network just had to make a cut. And sometimes, unfortunately, that show just ends up on the cutting block because of other shows are, just as good. And for whatever reason, the producer's like, "Nah, I don't want that one anymore." Sadly.
Right.
But
so Mayor of Kingstown is already in its second season. Do you know if it's been renewed for the third season yet?
Not yet. I hope so, but not yet. Yeah, fingers crossed. Jeremy Renner just had a terrible accident earlier this month. Praying for his recovery. And I know this next filming will probably be delayed a little bit. I know they're thinking about. I think originally it was going to be starting to film in the spring, but now it'll probably be in the fall. But just fingers crossed that there will be a third season. It's a great show. It's a phenomenal show. If you are a fan of like The Wire, Oz, all those, then you're gonna love Mayor of Kingstown. It's one of those, and I hope it gets the culture following just the same because it's really good. And you never know what's going to happen in every episode. You never know who's going to die because a lot of people definitely kick the boot, and but it's in that Game of Thrones fashion where anybody can get it, and you just never know. So even when I get the scripts, I'm crossing my fingers and praying for Deidre because you just never know.
You just never know. I'm definitely going to be tuned in because, it's in its second season. So I have an opportunity to catch up and not feel so overwhelmed. Like you mentioned Game of Thrones. I heard so much about that series and I wanted to watch. But then by that time, it was like in the sixth season. I said, I ain't got time. I ain't got time for all of that. We catch up on Mayor of Kingstown, which streams every Sunday on Paramount Plus. If you're like me, Saturday or Sunday at midnight, as soon as Saturday closes at 11:59, I'm waiting for episodes to start streaming across streaming platforms. So today's Saturday,
Yeah.
11:59. I'll be on Paramount Plus,
Yeah.
making sure that I start watching Mayor of Kingstown. Are you
Yeah.
currently auditioning for any other projects, or can we expect to see you on any upcoming projects?
Yeah, yeah. My manager's keeping me busy, which I
Okay.
love. It's a blessing. And I just had another show, Poker Face, come out this past
Yes.
Thursday.
Yes.
And I'm on episode 3 of that one, playing country Texas Sheriff McDonald. Got to act alongside Lil Rel and Natasha Leone,
Oh,
which was amazing. Yeah, Natasha McDonald, who all and Larry Brown, very amazing stars in that show. And Ryan Day, all the writers from Knives Out. And if you ever seen Knives Out, then you can only imagine how entertaining the show. You haven't seen Knives Out?
no.
Oh, you gotta go see. You gotta watch Knives Out.
So
I
that's
think
another one. What platform is that on? Knives Out.
Knives Out is a movie. And
Oh.
they just came out with the second one, Knives Out Glass Onion, that's on Netflix. So you probably can watch both on Netflix. It's just
Mhm.
an entertaining mystery show.
Okay.
One of those, someone dies and who did it?
Okay.
Type of
Okay.
movie. So in
Yay.
that same type of vibe, Poker Face is about Natasha's character, where she's on the run for something, but she has this knack for solving mysteries and murders. So every time she goes to a new town, there's another mystery that she somehow falls into, and she ends up helping them solve. But it's a fun, entertaining show. So definitely check that out.
I
I have
am.
some more shows later this year. One I'm not really supposed to speak about, but it's 3 Women. I'll be on there with Wanda Wise and Charlene Willie. But that's on the hush hush for now for me until they haven't announced that I was on it officially. But I'll be on there. And then I have an indie project coming up that will be shooting in the Philippines, which should be a fun ride, a fun adventure. And I'm looking forward to that. But I'm constantly auditioning, and you never know. But I know one thing: you will see a lot of me this year. I
Yeah.
want you to be almost tired of seeing my face. Like, dang, Marcus is in everything.
No, I can
No.
tell that is definitely the trajectory, because all of the shows that you're currently on, and I was definitely going to watch Poker Face. Every show that you mentioned, is on everyone's watch list. So you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
we know that there is only going to be, a strengthening, or
Yeah.
you're going to be catapulted into
Yeah.
the next stratosphere, because you prepared, you've done the work, you have the
Yeah.
faith, and you
Yeah.
have the skill. So it's inevitable.
Yeah. True. Hey, I'm just trying. I'm out here like you. I'm out here, trying to take over.
Just grinding, child. Just grinding.
Every day.
That's one thing I can say about Brooklyn. We just come from a culture where maybe ignored.
Yeah.
And in order to be successful, we had to do whatever it took. And thankfully, I have, 2 dope parents who really instilled in me the power of faith, the power of persistence,
Yes.
and turning a no into many yeses.
Speak on it. Yes, throwing those no's to yeses is
Yes.
game,
But how can my audience continue to follow you? Because
Yeah.
we're going to see your name on many, many, many shows, and
Yeah.
we want to get tired of you.
Yeah. Check me out. I'm mostly on Instagram. Marcus Lorenzo Brandon is one long handle. I'm trying to find a way to shorten it. So if anybody have suggestions on a better handle to short, let me know. But check me out, Marcus Lorenzo Brandon on IG. You can go to my website, marcus-brandon.com. But IG is the best place to get in touch with me. And that's where I keep people up to date and fans up to date on my latest materials.
Got it. Well, I'm going to follow you on Instagram, and I'm going to tell you what I think about the mayor of Kingstown, because what I do every single week, I spotlight all of the shows that I watch, encouraging other people to watch. So I'll tell you.
I appreciate that.
Real talk, if I really liked it or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for this conversation. Continued blessings. We love to see you on screen. We are loving where you are about to go.
Yes.
So you just get ready for it, because it's happening.
I'm ready. I've been ready. Bring it. Thank you, Sanya.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. So there you have it. Engaging conversation with Marcus Brandon. Wasn't that great? Working actor. This is something that you all need to, well, this is someone, he is someone that you all needed to hear from. This is what I love to do on Sanya On Air, speak to celebrities in television, film, music, fashion, and beauty to unpack their pivotal moments and their milestones. Because you see them on television, you listen to their music, you wear their beauty products, you wear their clothing, but you don't have any idea how they got to where they are today. So it's important to have these conversations because let me tell you something. What we watch on television, the music that we listen to, we go on social media. I don't know about you, but child, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. Just this morning alone, just this morning, woke up and I know they tell you that it's a bad idea, but because of business, I check my emails. I want to go on social media just to see, what's trending. That's the first thing that I did this morning. I opened up my Instagram account and I had to see the police murdering a young Black boy. And I was like, this is so triggering. And just yesterday, I went on social media. I went on Instagram. It's just about for like 5 minutes. And the first thing that I saw, once again, something very, very triggering. As content creators, we have to be socially responsible because once again, there are parents who really can't afford a nanny, a babysitter. So their children are being placed in front of the television. They're giving them their phones, they're giving them their iPads, and children are learning based upon the experiences and the narratives that you are placing on television, film, music, on social media. And then when you wonder why everyone is showing up having trauma responses, this is why, because all they are seeing is trauma. So I really want to make sure that I'm having socially responsible conversations here on Sanya On Air. And this is why it's so super important for you to not only listen, but to subscribe, to share, to post a comment, because we need to see these things. There will always be traumatic events, episodes on television, in film, in music, and on social media, but there has to be an equal balance of it all. The universe just has to balance it all. But what it appears now is that the trauma, the irresponsible content is like this. It's like this. It's just rising. So what I do now since the beginning of this amazing new year, before I press record, while I am researching my guests, I'm just like, what's the purpose? What is the purpose of the conversation? What do I want to leave my audience with? What do I want them to carry with them for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year? I want to make sure that it is resonating responsibly. So I'm hoping that this is what Sanya On Air is doing for my audience. So subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the notification button. This has been another amazing conversation with actor Marcus Brandon. Make sure that you go and watch him on The Mayor of Kingstown, which is streaming on Paramount Plus. I'm for real. Like, I'm definitely going to, there's so much content. And I'm going to watch it. It definitely does sound like an amazing series, because the premise of the show, just a family, what do they call the McCluskey family? Yeah, the McCluskey family. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. They are power families power brokers in Michigan, brokering deals between incarcerated individuals, gang leaders. Brandon plays the character of Diedrich, the leader of the Bloods. So I just want to see if it is giving us more than other prison or jail films or television shows has given us. I just want to see, like, what's the difference? What's the difference between this and them? So I'm going to be watching, and I'm definitely going to give him and you my honest opinion. So if I liked it, check out my social media, because I will be highlighting it. If I don't post anything about it, I didn't like it. So I'm off to watch The Mayor of Kingstown. Follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, what is that? TikTok. The two platforms I'm really, really on that I love, 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 Instagram and TikTok. I'm a TikTok girl. So follow me, continue to watch Sanya On-Air. Make sure that you subscribe. This has been another amazing edition of Sanya On-Air. Thank you for watching. Smooches, dolls. Take care.